Good morning, everybody. It's Positive Tuesday today, December 6th, 2022. For Barron County Sheriff Chris Fitzgerald, who's appearing courtesy of your tax dollars, I'm Ben Dryden, and you're watching Positive Tuesday with Ben and Fitzy, presented by Professional Exteriors and Interiors, and we're going to get to that in a little bit. With nearly 20 years of experience, this locally owned and operated business provides quality work both on the outside and on the inside of your home or business. Like Fitzy and I, they believe that it's the little things that make a big difference. So give them a call today, 715-520-2271. Positive Tuesday is also brought to you in part by the Wisconsin Lakes team. It's still a great time to buy or sell a home, and when you do, we recommend our friends from the Lakes team. Anyone can say that they're an agent, but not everyone treats their clients as they would like to be treated. And that's what Aaron and Katie do. You can find out more by visiting their website at lakesteamwi.com. Also supporting the show are our friends at Industrial Safety. We all know that Industrial Safety sells and services practically everything that goes into a fire station and on a firefighter. But they also provide kitchen suppression system maintenance, inspections, and installs. You can find out more about this service and to see a list of all of their services, check them out on their website at industrialsafetystore.com. Fitzy, good morning. How are you?
I am awesome. How are you?
Great. It feels like we're only doing these shows every 2 weeks now.
Yeah, it seems like it.
Right, because it's been a while. And I want to get to that. I think I have written down on one of our things I wanted to make sure to talk about. The reason that we didn't have a show last week, there was a crash. Unfortunately, there's a fatality. Want to talk about that a little bit. And we have something else here. You partnered with the local auto dealers to announce a Back to Basics Arrive Alive program. I want to talk about that. And there's a convicted sex offender that was convicted in Illinois that was released in Barron County. We were going to talk about that last week, but we couldn't do that, of course, since we didn't do a show. There's a whole bunch to get to.
We do have a bunch.
But first, how's it going?
Really good. Really great day. We had shop with the cop last night, so it doesn't get any better than that. So
yeah. That's right. That's right. Shop with the cop.
Yeah.
I love that stuff, man. So tell us about how did it go? Oh, wait. You know what? I have a picture. I found a picture. I'm going to put that up. Oopsie, it still has Jody Smith's thing on there. Sorry about that.
But that was only half of our crew last night. The other half was at Walmart. We had shop with the cop last night. 80 kids, just short of 80 kids. We had to take a couple the day before because they had a concert. So we took a couple kids. One of the departments took a couple kids the day before. 80 kids, 55 cops, put on at Walmart and Farm and Fleet. Adventures gave us a great meal.
Wow.
They fed all 110, 120 of us that ate. It was awesome.
My goodness. I love that stuff.
Oh, it was awesome. It's the greatest night in law enforcement in Barron County. It doesn't get any better than last night. It wears you out. It's exhausting, but it is a great day. Put on by the Law Enforcement Foundation. Unbelievable night. It's really special to cops. It started. That was our 14th year, I want to say, last year, maybe. It started with 6 kids. We started originally with 6 kids, and it's grown over 14 years to 80 kids now. And we spend thousands of dollars at Walmart in one setting. It's great. Holy
cow. And I just realized he's kicking in, so it's giving me this noise. I want to put this back on the screen. You keep talking for about 30 seconds. Hold on.
Okay. It was just the coolest night. Walmart and Farm and Fleet always help us out. And then every kid at the end of the day goes home with a turkey dinner put on by Genio, Marketplace, Noodle Farms, Quick Trip, and Seneca Foods. They get a whole Christmas meal to take home and cook with their family. So not only they buy all the gifts, we give them about $150 to spend, and they don't get to spend it on themselves. They spend it on members of their family. So they're buying their brothers, sisters, grandparents, grandmas, moms, dads presents. So it's a learning experience for the kids. But they also get to buy one thing for themselves. So we always surprise them because they come with a list saying, hey, you get to go shopping for all these people. And we got these kids picking out these, candles and things for their parents and grandparents. And, I got to get my teacher something, or my neighbor I know, or this kid I sit by on the bus, he needs something. And then these kids buy hats and gloves and mittens, and that's what they want instead of a Lego or something else. So that's what's really cool about it is they get to you experience a different side, and our cops get to experience a different side, and it's just fun to everybody come together. It's really special.
Well, I want to ask. I have a couple of follow-up questions here I wrote down, but first, want to make sure we announce that we're doing a miracle at Big Rock. We're giving 2 tickets away, and every time we do these giveaways, we always say, next time we should actually think about doing this a little better way, and we never actually do. Right. So we'll probably just do the same as always. We just, it'll be a debacle at the end of you just using a randomizer app, and then we just. So are we going to do? And we can do whatever we want this time. Okay. Do we want to do like 2 individual tickets or like tickets?
We'll just give one person 2 tickets.
One person 2 tickets. Okay. In order to be entered into this, because at the very end, we're going to base it on comments. So every time you comment, it counts as an entry, right. And then we'll just kind of. I don't think we're actually going to count. Seriously, we'll just kind of ballpark it, so we don't watch Fitzy going 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Even though that's very entertaining, we're just gonna ballpark it. Say, it looks like around 70 comments, and then we'll just do a randomizer, and then we'll count up or down, whichever is the easiest for us, and then we'll give those away at the end of the show. So every time you enter a comment, you are entered in for a chance to win 2 tickets to Big Rock. And by the way, next Tuesday, the person that's kind of in charge of it, or the organizer of it, his name's Josh. He's going to be on our show for the first 15 minutes of our show next week to talk more about this. I know last year we did this, and Kirk Anderson, the mayor in St. Croix Falls and friend of ours, he was on talking about it. But now we're going to get the actual dude that's, organizing all this. So looking forward to that. Back to Shop with a Cop. You said it was $150 for each one. How much do they have to use X amount of money for someone else?
Yeah, well, they get to buy one thing for themselves, and the rest goes to other people. So they can buy, one thing for themselves, whatever they want. But, we had kids asking for shoes and gloves and mittens and hats. And that's what's, my kids, your kids would go to the store and say, hey, if you want to buy something for yourself, they'd be like, hey, I want an Xbox game, or I want a Lego, or I want something, and these kids just want, years ago, I tell the story how the kid said, can I get a gallon of milk? If we had an extra gallon. I mean, I love telling that story. It's sad, but that's what's special about our community is we can make a difference. I mean, there's great programs out there all around, Amanda's kinship program and things like that. I mean, everybody makes a difference in kids' lives at this time of the year, and luckily we have programs like kinship and things like that that make a difference year round in these kids' lives. But at Christmas, we wanted to be a little extra special. And so these kids are just somebody that needs to pick me up. The school picks the kids for us. They just need a little something special. Maybe they're having a tough time at school or a tough time in their family life, and they just need a little pick me up. It doesn't mean that they're, they're poor, or they're this or that. They just need a little pick me up is how we explain it. And kids get a little pick me up, and they're a little excited to close out the end of the school year before Christmas. So
little things make a big difference, man. And Renee, what age did you have to be? I saw something about that. Someone asked how you get a kid. I was on your page because, by the way, this last week has just been phenomenal following the Barron County Sheriff's page, and I even had a comment on something, but that's a whole other thing. Yeah. So what ages? Is that for?
The school picks them. So we had kindergartners last night through middle schoolers last night. So
by the way, that one gift, if they have 150, could they just get something for like $135 for themselves and then a couple packs of gum for someone?
No, we don't let them do that. That's why the main point is not that part.
I know. I'm just always trying to find an angle.
I know you're always trying to find an angle. We have kids that push it.
Yeah. Well, that's why you have all the cops there, right? I mean, actually, that's a good. So I think you said 80 kids, and 50 cops. 50, First of all, this is like the greatest time of the year to go commit crimes.
Right.
Just follow the sheriff's bar page or any Tracy does it over. I'm assuming Washburn does it. I know they used to. I still think they do.
They do it very similar, a little bit different, but yes, they do something. Ross. Burnett.
Yeah. So just follow their pages on Facebook, and then if you want to commit a crime, dude, this is like the greatest time ever to do that.
We got someone working all these villages and cities, so there's still cops out there.
Mm-hmm.
So, all right. Yeah, we don't close the jail down and let everybody out for the night, and so all the jailers get.
So, but what do the 50 cops do then?
We actually take the kid shopping, and we go and help them shop and shop with them, and that gets the interaction that I've always wanted, this positive interaction with why we do this show, why we do our community events, why we, do different things, is to get that community interaction and to raise awareness and get to know that cops, some of these kids only see cops when we come to their house for a domestic or a situation involving a family member or something like that. They get to see us in a positive light. We take them right from there. We go eat at the O'Connell Lodge. Adventures gives us this big supper like I talked about, and we eat supper with the kids, and we eat a donut, and we just have a lot of fun during that short 2-hour block.
Do the parents go with, or a parent go with, or is it just they drop them off and you guys are kind of responsible for them? Not responsible, but you know what I mean? Like the parents there too?
No, the parents aren't there. Usually the school brings them. They come on a school bus, whatever it is. So each school sometimes they ride with the police officer right to the thing. The snowflake ball. Yeah, I went to the snowflake ball on Saturday. I didn't volunteer, snowflake ball. But yeah.
That sounds like a political thing.
No, the snowflake.
Bunch of snowflakes. Yeah, it's a snowflake. Like people refer to it as, but in a negative way.
I went to the
snowflake ball.
Best library in Barron County, Race Lake Library, had a snowflake ball.
Okay, I've heard that's the second best library in the state. Only two.
Yeah. So yeah, well, we had a snowflake ball. So what did you have Saturday? I was at our library.
Love it.
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
I love it.
It was a lot of different things. I helped out Saturday at a different event besides the snowflake ball at the library. We had another event where kids could go, put them by our chamber. Kids could shop. The parents brought them to the Moose Lodge, and they shopped they had little gifts. They went out and bought gifts, and kids could buy these $1, $2, $3 items. They would wrap them. They had all these volunteers come and wrap all these presents. So the kids could go out and buy something for their parent that they didn't know, and it was wrapped already, so they could go home and put it under the tree, and they could spend $4, $5, $10 and get really $20 or $30 in money. All the money that was raised then was donated, because a lot of these people donated the stuff. It was candles or a dish towel or something like that, or there was some bigger stuff, some tools that Menards donated. It was really special events. So a lot of different cool events during the holiday season that really make a difference in kids' lives, and I got to be part of a lot of them this weekend. It was really fun to be part of.
And some of this money comes from, like, how you raise that money is from, like, your donut dash, right?
Yeah.
I'm sure you don't have this readily available, but are there people that just donate to this and they're not a part of anything, but here's some money to help out? Here's $100 or a business. Here's $500 or whatever. Maybe it's just $50, $20 because, hey, little things make a big difference. Does that happen? And if so, what percentage about, like a third of this happens strictly just from people saying, here, take my money so these kids, so you guys can put this on?
Probably half of the money
comes
from regular people. And this year last year we started it. This year we expanded it. For about a month prior to Shop with the Cop, you could sponsor a kid and give any amount of money you wanted, from $10 to $150. And you could sponsor a kid if you wanted to, do $150. We got some money from Walmart and Farm and Fleet, Pepsi, and then the Donut Dash race. That's about 50%, and about 50% came from the general public. The Law Enforcement Foundation would pick up any other information or any other. If we were short money, the Law Enforcement Foundation of Barron County has money to do that. This year, they didn't need to tap into their own funds. We actually started a little kitty for next year. So when the Donut Dash race is expanding, and we raised almost $3,000 at the Donut Dash, so that all that money that we raised in July stays in a kitty for this. So we dropped about. It's fun to drop about $10,000 in an hour at Walmart last night.
So I just quickly did that, and that's $150, right, each kid
times 80 kids,
and 80. That's $12,000.
Right.
That is ridiculously awesome.
Yeah, in an hour. I mean, they shop from 5 to 6 at Walmart.
Well, and hold on, because you just said $3,000 you got from Shop with the Cop. So that's only a quarter of the money, not half.
Yeah, Walmart.
Right, let's not Shop with the Donut Dash.
But that Walmart and Pepsi and Farm and Fleet chip in some money.
Oh, sure. Okay.
And so ends up being about 50% of the $12,000.
That's awesome, man.
And then $6,000 is raised from the general public. We got banks that donate and businesses that donate, and yeah, it's a special night.
Well, speaking of, and we have three things. These are press releases that you've done, or any stories we've done, but these are all from you. I believe all from you.
Yes.
There's three here. There was a reason that we didn't do a show last week, and that was because there was a crash. Unfortunately, a 23-year-old young man from, I think, Cumberland. We'll get to that in a second, so I'm going to rearrange this a little bit, Fitzy, and I want to get to the headline that we put in was Barron County Sheriff's Office, local auto dealers announce Back to Basics Arrive Alive program. I wanted to bring that up simply because we're talking about how little things make a big difference. So
Right.
what, for people who aren't aware of that, you put it on the Sheriff's Department Facebook page, we put it on our website and our Facebook page. Tell people what that is.
Well, so we've been having a lot of crashes, and then that doesn't include last Tuesday's crash. Yeah, we had our own checkers last night. But so we've had a lot of crashes, and obviously everybody remembers the two kids, the two young girls that were killed, a month and a half ago, 2 months ago, just outside of Rice Lake, on a road. The four youth were involved in that crash, and we wanted to get not from just that crash, but other crashes. We had a lot of fatalities, bam, 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 back to back here in Barron County, and I thought, you know what, there's programs out there, and we copy and pasted, some programs, and I went to some of my friends who run our auto dealerships in town and said, what if we all teamed up and did something? So I had some grant money. We bought a poster, a little pop-up poster. We put it at every dealership, and we just said, when you sell a car, would you give this letter? And the letter just says, drive safe, go back to the basics, wear your seatbelt, don't drink and drive, don't text and drive, reduce your speed. If you go 5 miles faster, it doesn't get you there any quicker, really. I mean, it does, but it's a minute. It doesn't really make a difference. So let's just go slower. And so every car you sell, would you hand one of these letters out? And it said, from the employees of the Barron County Sheriff's Department and these four auto dealers. And everybody jumped on top of it. Our four auto dealers, the large auto dealers, there's a lot more little auto dealers. But our four major auto dealers in Barron County said, yeah, we're involved. We'll do this. If we were to, give that letter out for a year, we might reach 5,000 people. So even if we do it for a couple months, we reach 1,000 extra people. You buy a used car for your kid at one of these, and they're 16. They get this letter from the Sheriff's Department, and signed by all these employees of these people care about you. That's all we were trying to do. It's the little things that make a big difference.
It is a little, right. I mean, is it going to move the needle? Is it going to prevent some? You don't know, right? That's what a deterrent is. We've talked about that, I think, before. Like when you see a state patrol officer sitting, running radar right in between the roads, you can see him from a mile away, and you're like, you're not going to pull any speeders. We can see you so far away, but it's a deterrent, right? It's just slow traffic down a little bit, and then you have to wonder, well, I wonder how many crashes that prevented. I wonder how many lives then that saved. There's no way to know. Right. None. But if you can do something like what you guys are doing, it's a little thing. Is it going to make a big difference? Maybe. Maybe not. If one person slowed down or took that and went, you know what, thank you. Great. But how much effort, I mean, other than organizing this, making a few phone calls, stopping in when you're, driving around doing your sheriff thing, right. How much work was it for everybody to do? Probably not that much. Thus, it's the little thing. But it might make a big difference.
Right. And, you go in to look for a shop for a car. Maybe you don't buy one. But now there's a banner at all four car dealerships that says from the Sheriff's Department and Link Ford or Don Johnson Motors, Swan Graver, or South Lake Motors. And now there's this banner in there that you stand and read while you're test driving a car or you're waiting for something. It wasn't a big deal. And obviously I knew it. As soon as we put it on Facebook, I knew someone wouldn't like the idea or someone would find something wrong with it. And that's just the
Yeah. And so by the way, if you're anyone looking for some entertainment today, go to the Barron County Sheriff's, after the show, of course, the Barron County Sheriff's Department, which it should be office, but whatever, your Facebook page, and look for, a few down, and you'll see the thing about what this is. And I had seen it, and someone was, not very supportive, we'll just say. It was a waste of something. What was it about, like taxpayer dollars?
Yeah, and the auto industry is just, you're just scamming us to buy more cars.
It was something. Yeah, I was like, what in the world? So then I saw it. I'm like, that's it. I got a comment. So I had just pointed out that there were some spelling errors. So this is what you meant to say. Now that was sarcasm because they weren't spelling errors, and I did, a whole long thing about this is what you should have said. And I don't know, sometimes it just kind of gives me a little bit of pleasure. I didn't mean to be mean about it, and I don't think I was.
Right.
But, that's,
He
it's
was mean.
unfortunate. What's that?
He was mean, so that was okay.
A little. Yeah, and that's why then it was, taxpayer dollars. Then it's, well, I also don't support taxpayer dollars being used for, Fitzy to go on your show. And that's why I started the show the way I did. Courtesy of your tax dollars. Here's 50. Well, I mean, technically, like, what are your obligations a year? Like, how many hours do you have to work a week according to, I don't know, the Constitution or your job, whatever?
One day every 4 years.
One day every 4 years.
You have to be here the day I got to get sworn in on January 4th. I think I got to get sworn in as a new elected official, and I got to be here that day. And then technically I don't have to be here any other days.
Yeah. So, I mean, let's face it, the role of a sheriff is different than it used to be. Now, it's still a very important role, and there's a lot of parts. But it also this is your stuff. It's community engagement and protective or in terms of preventative and positive things. That's important, man. And again, how many hours do you think you spend on getting this done?
On that program?
Yeah, on the program.
4 stops, meet with them, write the letter, order the banners. If it took me 10 hours and it took the dealership 0 hours except to answer my email saying, yeah, we're in.
Yeah. There you go.
And I met with all four of my friends. That's community connections anyway. We talked about squad cars and purchasing squad cars. We talked about other things over there. We talked about issues. We meet with people all the time. I answer people's questions if they're at these businesses when I'm there. They're my friends too. A lot of these, in fact, all 4 of the general manager of the Fort College are my personal friends. So, and that is my job. You're right. And did our patrol division was on duty the day we took the pictures. We didn't cost us any overtime, and they were on duty. Now, were they all in the same spot at the same time? Yes, they were. And we wanted to do those pictures an hour before that, but they were all busy, so we waited an hour and we drove around. Now, they made contacts at those dealerships and they had some positive interactions. So that's all the great stuff we do.
I know it. But there's just some people out there that you could, if they won the lottery, they'd complain because they got to pay taxes on it. Right? Come on, dude. Don't be a Chuck. All right.
And yeah, I appreciate the comment, the support that people do give us.
Stop trying so hard to make a difference. It's ridiculous.
Yeah.
Just I think even there was a comment. I don't know if it was the same person, but it was something about that. You should be doing things like pulling people over, like officers actually doing their jobs. But you're not an officer.
Right.
You're the that's what. It'd be like asking Jeff Bezos, how come you're not like filling orders for Amazon? It's because I own the place. I got people for that, man. I got different stuff to do.
And I love to do that once in a while. I do go up and pull people over, and so I enjoy that. And and I'm sure Jeff Bezos sometimes, well, maybe he doesn't. I have no idea. But maybe he goes down on the Amazon floor and fills an order once in a while. You should.
Just so all the employees can have a good laugh on how horrible he is at doing it. So speaking of you going out and doing that job. We couldn't do a show last week. Our headline was Morning Crash on Highway 48, which I think we actually put an 8 at the beginning, so apologies for that. Highway 48 on Barron County results in fatality. I believe that was the situation where a 23-year-old from Cumberland had deceased. So I knew we weren't doing a show last week. It was about 8:10, and I was ready to send the link for you to sign on, even though you never do, like a minute before we go live. But I was getting ready, and then actually it was Chief Gobby over in Turtle Lake sent me a text and said, "Hey, I don't think Fitz is going to be on your show today. I'm hearing that he's at the scene of a crash, and it looks pretty bad." So what can you tell us about that?
I was just texting you to tell you that I wasn't going to make it, and you had texted me and said I already canceled the show, and I appreciate that.
Yeah,
sorry we can't, but yeah, we had a tragic accident last Tuesday. It was the snowstorm. Snow had just started. We knew it was going to be a busier day. We were prepping to be out and about and, and helping people get out of the ditch or get unstuck. And there was a car lost control, hit a tanker truck or a larger like milk tanker truck. And he was killed. It was very tragic. It was very sad. It was a 23-year-old guy just going to work. And I lost control, and I don't know why he lost control. But it lost control and hit that, and I feel bad for the guy driving the big truck because he did all he could to avoid it, and it just couldn't be avoided. And it was just sad. It was a it was a bad scene. We had a lot of help from the Rice Lake Fire and ambulance, and a couple tow truck drivers towing, and S&R towing helped us. We needed tow trucks there right away. They were Johnny on the spot to help us get these cars apart. It was a good crash. Some of them don't bother me. That one just hit me a little harder. And,
well, if it's all right,
yeah.
you and I have private conversations,
Mm-hmm.
and obviously they're private for a reason. But if it's okay, I think I'm going to bring this up, and I don't think I'm saying anything inappropriate, but I remember when I asked you about it was afterwards, because I don't want to bother, if you're at the scene of this stuff, I'm not going to call or text you. What? But it was later on that day, I think we talked, maybe it was the next day, I can't remember, and I asked, so, everything okay in terms of, that's got to be tough for people to see, and I believe you had said, if I recall, that it was one of the toughest ones you've ever been at.
Yeah.
And I remember finding that interesting because you've been doing this job for a long time. You've gone to a lot, and we've had one with more fatalities in a single crash or a single multi-vehicle crash, etc. I don't know if that's something you want to get into, but can you give everyone just a little bit of a glimpse as to what made that one so difficult?
No, I don't want to, just for the family, protect the families that are involved. It was a good, the two cars connected perfectly, so it ended up it wasn't good. I mean, the scene itself was not good for our first responders. And you try to control that, and you try to, so that's what I mean by that. And it's just not good for the families of those people involved. We'll just keep that private. But those are the scenes that law enforcement has to deal with, and that's what we have to deal with. And is that the worst one I've ever been to? But no, and maybe it was because we've had so many recently in a short amount of time. We've had, and I think that was our 7th fatality now, and like a 3-month time frame, because we had 0 and boom.
I know.
So, but that's what law enforcement has to deal with. We talked about that. We didn't plan on talking about this, but the Sheriff Kramer results came out that it was suicide. I did an article for our local newspaper here. The Chronotype asked about, how do we keep our cops good and safe? And we have a good EAP program. We've started our own EAP program inside of the department, and we jokingly call them the hug cops. And but I think that's a good way to talk about these topics. We always talk about the hard-hitting topics on this show. We never shy away from anything. And that's not something, we should continue to talk about. I mean, so when we have a scene like that, we have our 2 new internal trained professionals, and they've got to get some more training under their belt, but they'll just check on our people to make sure they're okay. And that's why we created that internal program. And like I said, we jokingly call them the hug cops, but I think that's okay.
I don't think jokingly is the right word, but I know where you're going. I think affectionately, right? It's just it's not meant as a negative thing, because that stuff is tough. And I know, while we talked briefly when that happened, Sheriff Kramer, you and I mean, obviously because of my dad being the sheriff, and he was actually very close friends with Ron Kramer, so I was aware of how he had died, and you being a sheriff, of course, you knew. So I remember when our first show after that, we obviously didn't talk about, there's a lot of things we just don't bring up because it's not public knowledge.
Right.
And that one was, I wanted to talk about it then, to talk about, this is a serious thing. Right? I mean, it absolutely is. I know when Dad was at I think Tracy Finch was telling me there was a Badger State Sheriff's Association meeting, and I think it was right after that one that was scheduled, and it was to honor retired cops, so Dad was there. But they also talked about what they can do, like having this team, similar to what you're talking about, statewide, that can go out and talk to, in this case, specifically sheriffs, for life after retirement, and the struggles of moving on from that, because it's different. Like when you retire from construction versus retiring from being a sheriff or in law enforcement for 30 or 40 years. That's an adjustment. When our soldiers come back from their duty, it's tough to kind of just go about your day and just what? That's weird. It's a different kind of an animal there, and we need that we need to talk about that stuff. But more importantly, we got to make sure we're taking care of our cops that are retiring and we're thinking about retiring, because that's not an easy transition.
No, it isn't. I don't have to think about it right now, but yeah, I don't. I hope I'm preparing myself for that. And if you have a good friend structure and family structure, but it's totally different. I think you make a good point about our soldiers. I think they have a tough transition. I think we do a lot for them. We could probably do more for them. But it's just, again, it comes back to the little things make a big difference. We keep talking about that, but saying hi to somebody and checking on somebody and calling somebody and making a comment on their Facebook and a positive comment.
Yeah, not just a comment.
Not just a comment.
Right.
And maybe we've been doing this a long time, and those comments just roll off. And
They kind of do.
But it's just like, why would you take your time to type something like that? Just type something, wow, this is great, thank you for doing this, but not everybody can do that, and that's just too bad. And we're going to push back a little bit on some of those comments.
Well, and I figured that you weren't going to comment on your page. Right. So I'm like, well, I'll just do it for you. Right. So vicariously, that was pretty much you.
Yeah, I got a couple comments on yours. One of the car dealerships called me and said, hey, next time you see Ben, pat him on the back.
Oh, that's fantastic.
So everybody was watching, and no one wants to comment because no one wants to be the target of another comment and another comment.
I'm used to it. I never went back and looked at it because that's something that Scott Walker told me once. Our former governor. I got so many names I'm dropping right now. It's ridiculous. So when Scott Walker was out, he had said that, man, I'll comment or I'll post something, and I never look at it again because it's nope.
It's probably a good idea.
Yeah, and I love it. So I just drop a bomb and then I'm out. Yeah. It's great. So I want to get to one more thing before we start doing some ticket giveaways. By the way, Miracle at Big Rock, we're giving away. So one winner will get 2 tickets to the Miracle at Big Rock, which is in Polk County in St. Croix Falls. It's going on now. We'll have the person who's, I don't know what his official title is, but I'm just going to say organizer of this. He's going to be on for the first 15 minutes of the show next week to talk more about what this is. It's only going on for the rest of this month, I believe. I don't think it bleeds into January, but it might a little bit. So just comment anything in there. Every time you comment, you get entered in for a chance to win. In about 10 minutes, we will just randomly kind of pick someone, and then you get 2 tickets to that. But what I wanted to bring up with you last week, but we didn't do that show, was you had sent out I wouldn't say a press release, but it was like in a press release form, but it was a sex offender bulletin announcement, and I think most of those are pretty much just kind of like standardized. You just kind of fill in a few things here or there. So like there's really only 3 things that were in it in terms of like if you just wanted the news of it, like the meat and potatoes, a person that was in Illinois was convicted of a sex offense crime. I can't remember what it was now I think about it. Something to do with a minor, I believe. Right. And the date of conviction, the date of release, and is going to be living at this address in Barron. And that's pretty much the bulk of it. So I have spent the last week and a half trying to get the criminal complaint from Illinois because that's been a nightmare. And I remember asking Jerusha, who works the DA's office here in Washburn, said, have you ever tried to get stuff from Illinois? She goes, it's a nightmare. It's absolutely. I'm like, well, because I'm not really getting any luck here. I fill all this stuff. Anyway, finally got it yesterday, and it's nothing like our criminal complaints stuff. So I don't even think I can do a story on it. I think it's almost too late now. But there was a lot of questions. A lot of people had questions about this. It was the day after Thanksgiving. He was going to be released in Barron County. I believe it was in Prairie Farm area, if I recall. And why is he up here? And also, if you're paying attention, you see the conviction date and release date. That's like 40 days in jail for this. Right. What? Right. So what were your thoughts when you were sending this out? Because I think I even called you after and said, are you sure you put the conviction date in right? Because it can't just be 40 days for this crime.
So a couple issues there. So you got to separate 2 issues there. One is we don't have anything to do with what happened in Illinois. 100% agree with you. He had consensual sex with a 14-year-old or a younger person, I don't remember the exact age, on somebody under the age of 18, and was convicted of that, did some internet things with that, some kind of internet post or something with that encounter. I don't recall the details of it. Anyway, he got 40 days. Illinois convicted him of 40 days He lived up here, was down there for something, I don't know what. If he was living, working, I don't know if he was in, but he originally at his house or his family lives up in Prairie Farm area. So he got convicted down there of a 40-day sentence.
I don't know if you can call that convicted, but whatever.
Yeah. And so, I mean, if that happens in Wisconsin, it's a minimum. We have minimum mandatory.
Yeah, and this wasn't like an 18-year-old and a 17-year-old.
Right.
This is like a 20s and like younger than 15.
Right. So, that's a separate issue for
a different day. Yeah.
We can even talk about on this show.
Right. Yep.
Illinois, but Wisconsin has mandatory minimum sentences on those, so we wouldn't have to worry about that. If that crime happens in Wisconsin, we don't have the outrage that people are outraged about. What I don't like about it is he was convicted down there. Wisconsin has a law. You go back to the conviction of where you
the crime. Yeah.
Whether you lived in, let's just say, New Richmond, and you committed the crime in Barron, you've got to come back to Barron to after you get out of jail.
And we've talked about this many, many times.
That's the Wisconsin
the way it is.
Law. Now, there's also another law. So if that happens here, that's why we're seeing so many of those releases lately. In fact, I'm meeting on Thursday. We'll have another one next week. Another person being released. But remember, we did those sting operations. Everyone was so happy we did those sting operations in the Rice Lake area. Now we've done some. Chief Wolf, now then Investigator Wolf, did all those sting operations.
Yeah.
Great. Everybody was very happy that
Loved
we caught
it.
people, but none of them lived in Barron County. They all came from outside the area to Barron County. Those people are now convicted. Now they all have to come back to Barron County. None of them have contacts in Barron County. That's why you see some of them homeless, some of them living in rentals.
I've never thought about that. That's bizarre. So it's great job, cops, for getting all these people. Bad news. Now they're all going to be living here.
Yeah. So I don't agree with it, but I also, if we didn't have that rule in place by probation and parole or the state of Wisconsin, it's really not probation and parole, the state of Wisconsin, then a Milwaukee sex offender could move to northern Wisconsin. Say it was a high-profile case in Milwaukee, he didn't want to get a job, so he moved to northern Wisconsin where no one knew who he was. But we don't get those people now because of this rule and law. And so it does make sense, but it also, I don't want someone to be homeless when they have a support system one county over or three counties over. So that's my frustration. I also don't like, so why did probation, one of the questions is why does probation accept them? Well, there's also another rule in law that I'm learning about. It's called the Interstate Compact Act, where you have to accept so many people or certain people. Wisconsin has to accept them. Illinois also has to accept ours. It's interstate commerce. I think Minnesota, Illinois, any state you touch has that. I suppose it's because of border cities. I don't know what the exact ruling is. So, we have to accept him, and because he was only convicted of 45 days in jail, it wasn't a prison sentence. He gets to move here. But when he moves here, he has to follow our rules. So he is on the GPS monitor, et cetera, et cetera. He has to follow the Wisconsin rules for a sex offender. Now, if he were to stay to Minnesota, my understanding,
or Illinois, he wouldn't.
Sorry.
If he just did stayed there for long enough or something, he wouldn't have to.
I don't think he had to do the monitor there and all that other stuff. Where now that he came here, he has to be on the monitor, and we get to know where he is and all that stuff that's on the bottom of that thing. So.
And does it matter at all? Because one thing, I don't think this was a big thing, but it just stood out to me that he was going to be released on Friday, the day after Thanksgiving. Because my wife, of course, works for the county, the district attorney's office. I know, and everybody else pretty much knows anyway, all these things are shut down. It's the holiday weekend, starts Wednesday after work, right? So I'm sure everything was fine, but it's like all the people who do all the things when somebody's released, are they all working on Friday?
Well, yes and no. I mean, yes. I mean, they had to. Now, ultimately, he ended up having a problem in Illinois with some paperwork and didn't get out till Monday. So, he did. So I don't believe he got here. But that was my biggest complaint: is we can do better in Wisconsin of saying, "Hey, we're going to take this guy," but we didn't have a lot of information when I sent that information out. Luckily, our local agent did a lot of prep work that she didn't have to do, but for her own sanity probably and case development, she needed to do all this work. We usually get a sheet from the state of Wisconsin. This guy's getting out of prison. This is what he did. These are the dates he did it. These are the dates he served. These are the programs he was in. These are going to be his rules. It all comes on a sheet. When we get somebody from Illinois, we don't get that for 30 days until after he gets here. And I'm like, that's a dumb rule.
Illinois is just dumb. I mean, my goodness. Rob Blagojevich, hello? That's all you need to know about Illinois. Yeah, so did you get that yet then, that sheet? Or we still haven't gotten it, but thankfully to this other person, who, not the name, but who was it that did all this research?
Our local agent did a bunch of legwork on this. So,
holy cow.
And I stirred the pot. I called the state of Wisconsin and name dropped. And as the sheriff, you get some.
Did you use my name, didn't you?
I've been Dryden. I'm like, do you want to be on Dryden? You want our hard-hitting fact show?
Yeah.
I think we made some, I don't want to say some changes, but hopefully it'll be better in the future. And they agreed that Friday afternoon wasn't a great time to drop the time.
Okay. All right. That wasn't just me then. Because that doesn't seem like the greatest time to let someone out.
I mean, I understand we have to take these, but we should be able to set some parameters here that says, whether we got to go back and change the interstate compact or whatever that says, we're within 10 days we'll accept this person so that we don't have to accept them on a Friday afternoon at 4:00 on the 4th of July weekend, or whatever it is. So, but we're going to see more of these. It's not that, and people are like, oh, Barron County's bad. We got all these sex offenders. I'm like, I just tell you guys about them. Maybe other counties do, but there's over 100 sex offenders living in Barron County, in every county. You can go on the sex offender website. You can see where they live. Most of them are our neighbors, and we just don't even know about it. And people do get better. They reform. Some people are on the monitor all the time. We do know where these people are. So there's a lot that goes into it, a lot that I'm probably not explaining that well, but it's a lot goes into it. A lot of work gets done, and hopefully it'll get better. But you're going to see more of these because of the actions we took earlier, which is great, protecting our kids and our families. But now they've got to live next door to us. And no one wants them in their backyard.
I get it.
Somebody's getting them in their backyard.
Well, right.
So,
we're going to have to talk about this a little bit more from time to time.
Yeah.
Because that's interesting. Just real quick, do you think it would be a situation where, it's nice to have this is what the law is, and if you do here, then you go here, and if your crime is in Barron, then you have to live there for at least 3 months. It's almost like being a judge and just have a spreadsheet. Okay, how many priors, that equals 90 days in jail.
Right.
Well, it doesn't really work that way because we have judges, because there's so much more nuance, right, that goes into all of this, where I feel like this doesn't have any nuance at all. It's just, here's what it is, done. Would it be something where we could have, and I don't know how many of these things happen in Wisconsin, so maybe that wouldn't even be possible. And of course it would require money, but a committee that looks at each one of these and kind of comes up, just makes a call to the sheriff and finds out some basic information and decides, actually, this would be the best place for this person. Do you think that's a possibility, or is that a way that we could correct this, or it has to be just like a law that's changed, but then, who knows what's going to happen?
Well, the law has to change because we do have those meetings. We're having a meeting on Thursday at 11 with some probation people. Then they're bringing their sex offender person, and they're going to tell me about it. And sometimes I get a vote, like the one guy. And of course, what I did is I put that on Facebook, and then I'm like, hey, this isn't something I got to vote on and say. My first when I talk to probation pro, I'm like, no, I don't want this guy. I'm like, this isn't one you get to vote on. This is one you get because of the Interstate Compact Act. And the guy said, no, you're a liar. You get to vote on these, and you're just bringing these people to Barron County for money. I'm like, I don't get any money. I only get headaches when these people come to Barron County. So there's no money.
Don't you love it when people tell you? Yeah. They say it as a fact, and it's like, but that's not fact. Like, you can say it as an opinion, fine, but you're stating it as a fact when that's not factual.
Yeah, that's not. I don't get a vote. There is some you do get a vote on, and of course, I did what Scott Walker told us not to do, and I commented, and then I went back and commented, and then I'm like, yeah. And then I stopped, and then I realized, don't do it. Don't go down that rabbit hole.
Not with idiots, man.
Yeah. So it's, it's a long story. We're going to get more of these. Like Amanda said, at least I'm telling you about them. You don't have to do anything with that information. They're not wanted.
Right.
They're not. They may never violate a rule of probation as long as they serve, but they're on the monitor for life. And he chose to come back here. Now, I also think they should go back if they have a support system in place. They should go to that support system.
I would 100% agree with that.
And so if there's a guy, and I just picked New Richmond, a guy in New Richmond, and he has to be stuck in Barron, but he has housing and a job in New Richmond, let him go to New Richmond. We've got to make this a little easier for these people. But yeah, it's tough to catch 11 people. But now we have 11 sex offenders that are going to be living in Barron County for a short time.
Yeah, but if you had to pick one, you would totally do it over again, right? I mean, yeah, duh. I mean, because now imagine if everybody did that. Right. Because she was kind of the exception, if I recall, because there was a stretch there for like a couple of years. She was busting not she specific, but she was kind of over. Right. I don't know if that was like in her job description, but she did that a lot. And you're right, she's down. You know what? We should have her on, by the way, Chief. Well, we should get her on sometime in Cumberland. But she did wonderful. And I don't know if that position has been filled or backfilled, like somebody else is focusing on that. But she did a lot of them because we were doing a lot of stories about that. And I remember thinking, I think he even asked you on a show, I'm like, what's going on in Rice Lake or in Barron County? Because there's a whole bunch of these people getting busted for this online stuff. Right. And it was fantastic. But yeah, wouldn't you do that over again if you had to?
You have to, and they take a lot of time. She just decided that, it's kind of like, sometimes we have good meth busts because our drug unit really hammers it. And she just picked that and said, hey, I got it. And she got into it, and she just kept going, and they just kept coming. And now I think everybody's afraid to come to Barron County, which is good. And that's a great thing. That's prevention. We can't tell you how many people we prevented from coming here.
That's right.
But we'll take the 11 that we got, and we'll go with them, or 14, whatever it is. So, yeah, it's good. It's fine. We're making some changes, hopefully for the good, but you're going to see more of them. So,
all right. Well, let's get to our ticket giveaway here. I'm just looking. I just went to my phone, and it says 55 comments because we're not actually on Facebook right now. I mean, we are, but we use a different program. But it says 55 comments, and some of those could have been replies to other people. Oh, 56. Oh, I forgot. That's right. We got to wrap up the show. Dirk gives us the weather forecast.
Must be the end.
So,
okay, 1 through 56. I'm generating a number.
All right, go ahead. Number 20. Is 20. So just count. Do it from top down because that's always shorter.
Top down.
Now on our screen, it shows everything as like a regular comment, but some of these could be like replies to people. I don't know. So just count down to.
I forgot. 1, 2, 3.
20, and then when we get the winner, then. At some point here this week, I will reach out to that winner with a code that you go to the website. So I'll give you the email website and a code that you put in order to redeem your tickets.
Val Sellant.
Val. Where is she?
Fagerlin. Val Sellant.
Val.
Val.
There we go. She's one that said, yeah, good morning right there. Yep. So this is one we should use those codes for, like V as in Victor, A as Adam, L, liver. I don't know.
But I do want to thank Jody. Where did I see it?
I don't know.
Jody Klump. She donated some candy. We gave it away Saturday night at the Shteck Parade.
Right.
Paw Patrol in the parade. We had the Shteck Christmas Parade. We did the Rice Lake Christmas Parade last week. So we've been busy doing a lot of fun stuff on your tax dollar. No.
On your tax dollar.
I did that on my own time. My wife got to be Paw Patrol.
Yeah, and the whole, the funny part about it is that technically you have to work one day a year or every 4 years. Right. So that's what your tax dollars go for is just, that. So anything you do over that, that's just bonus, man.
Right. I'm just giving back to the community. So.
All right. Well, I will contact Val. Congratulations. If she's not on right now, I'll send her a Facebook message. Again, next week we'll have Josh Hansen on for the first 15 minutes to explain more about Big Rock and just kind of go over a few things. And that's about it. What do you have coming up this week?
Going to hockey in St. Louis.
You were just in Chicago a couple weeks ago for hocky.
Yeah.
On the taxpayer dollar.
And what?
On the taxpayer dollars.
No, it was not. It was not. Don't start those rumors.
I know. I'm just having to let this go. That's awesome. Yep. So. See? Christine gets it. Gotta get people fired up.
That's right.
It's Christmas time. So you're going to St. Louis?
Yeah, I got Jace plays hockey down there, so I'm taking him down to St. Louis, play hockey.
Nice. What?
Yeah.
Very cool. Any events coming up with the sheriff's department, sheriff's office, whatever?
No, we did them all, I think. I'm sure there's some. Oh, there's a Sunday in Cumberland. There's a fundraiser. It's on our Facebook page in Cumberland at the Legion. They're having a Christmas dinner, lunch with Santa, or canine. All the money raised goes to the firemen and the canine. So stop by Cumberland, the Legion, on Saturday, and our canines will be there, and they're going to have some fun. I obviously won't be there, but our canines and our deputies will be there on Sunday. I think it's from 11 to 2, lunch with Santa.
So when you go to the sheriff's department Facebook page to look at the,
the comment.
the comment under the auto dealership thing. Also look for the information for this Sunday in Cumberland.
Yes. So otherwise, thanks to everybody that supported Shop with the Cop. It was a great night.
Awesome.
All the smiles, pictures are on our Facebook page. I'll look at them. Have a great week.
Awesome. All right, sweet. And I think this week is Tom Tiffany will be on for his monthly show. I love this time of the year because it's after election cycle. I put a pin in all the other shows. So, but of course, our congressperson, he comes on once a month for a show. Other than that, I don't have anything else lined up. I think, Adam Jarko and his wife Barbara and Drush and I are going to go on our second double date for our steak dinner.
Oh.
Somewhere around here tomorrow. I think maybe, I don't know. I might be getting like Layman's in Rice Lake. Or maybe it's in Trigo. I can't remember. We're going somewhere. All right. So, because every time I make a place a bet, I always bet a steak dinner. But I never expect anyone to actually, hold me accountable to that. Right. So I gotta buy another steak dinner. I like it better when what's his name running for lieutenant governor. We liked Will Martin. I bet him something, and I lost. But he's like in Racine. Like I'm never gonna see him probably again. So I just went on Amazon and I ordered him a Salisbury steak TV dinner and sent it to his house. Because I always honor my bets. So
there you go.
All right, cool. Hey, thanks a lot, Fitzy. We'll see you next week, huh?
Sounds good.
Awesome. For DrydenWire.com and for Barron County Sheriff Chris Fitzgerald, I'm Ben Dryden, and you've been watching Positive Tuesday with Ben and Fitzy, presented by Professional Exteriors and Interiors. With nearly 20 years of experience, this locally owned and operated business provides quality work both on the outside and on the inside of your home or business. So give Brian a call today, 715-520-2271. Renee, I'll be with Congressman Tiffany on Thursday for his monthly chat. Fitch and I'll be back next week. We'll be giving away 2 more tickets to the Miracle at Big Rock. So until then, thank you for watching, and as always, have a blessed day.